Across the United States, political disagreement has become deeply personal for some families. Some adults or some children have decided to limit or completely cut communication with their parents because of these political reasons. Welcome to the reality room. Thank you for stopping by. Please do not forget to like our videos, subscribe to our channel, turn on the notification bell, and of course, drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let us watch these clips.
If you're heartbroken because friends and family have cut you off because of the election and the way you voted, just know your pain and confusion is a direct proportion to the pain and confusion they've experienced over the last 10 years that you chose to ignore.
If a friend of yours is willing to cut you off over politics without even first trying to understand where you're coming from, that person was never your friend in the first place. They never liked you for you, they liked you for who they wanted you to be. The stakes are so low in this situation. They have so little to lose by trying to engage with you and actually trying to understand where you're coming from. So if they're willing to cut you off over this, just think of how disloyal they would be in a situation where they would actually have to make a material sacrifice to stand up for you. They wouldn't. So basically, anybody you lose by being open about your politics is someone who wasn't meant for you in the first place. Those types of people are liabilities, not assets. Ultimately, you will probably lose people, but those people are not compatible with you living a life that is true to yourself and your values. The people who are meant to stay will stay, and the people who are meant to leave will leave, and you will probably lose people. But one of my favorite quotes is that there is no price too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself.
If someone consistently votes to take away your rights or the rights of others, you do not need to have them in your life just because they are friends or family. People always say, don't let politics divide your family. But that phrase is usually always directed at the people who are setting boundaries and not at the people who need the boundaries. Human dignity shouldn't depend on where you were born, whether you're disabled, who you love. Public education, healthcare, disability services, accommodations, civil rights, and equal protection under the law aren't abstract political debates when your family's ability to thrive depends on it. And then the holidays come around, like Christmas or Mother's Day or Father's Day, Thanksgiving, and you're just supposed to sit around the table and pretend that everything is normal while they are actively voting to take away your rights and rights of others. And suddenly we're expected to pretend that everything is normal. Pretend that you're so funny and that those racist jokes didn't happen. Pretend that the homophobic comments didn't happen. Pretend that saying that disabled people are lazy, pretending that that didn't happen. Pretending that the trans kid next door doesn't exist. Pretending that immigrants are somehow less deserving of dignity and respect. And another thing, why is the burden always on the person who is being harmed to keep the peace? Why are they the ones who are actively being told to respect? And then when we call them out, and if we say, examine your beliefs, and that they are actually harmful, we're the ones who get in trouble. What people call keeping the peace often means that one person absorbs all the discomfort, so everyone else can avoid accountability. That's not peace, that's compliance. At some point, I got tired of being told to ignore all of the racism, homophobia, bigotry, xenophobia, misogyny, ableism, and transphobia, all in the name of family unity. If the price of belonging is pretending that other people's humanity is negotiable, then that's a price I'm not willing to pay. Family isn't a free pass, and love may be unconditional, but access isn't, trust isn't, and respect isn't. And if someone repeatedly shows you that your rights, dignity, humanity are negotiable, then creating distance isn't cruelty. It's a boundary, and the boundary didn't create the division. The division was created when someone's humanity became a debate, and the boundary just revealed it.
Liberals, would you really cut somebody out of your life entirely, including a family member, just because they have different politics from you? Yeah, of course we would. This isn't just about political ideology. We're not cutting people out of our lives because they believe that taxes should be lower, or they have different opinions about infrastructure. We're talking about situations where friends or family believe that immigrants should be rounded up and sent to concentration camps. We're talking about disagreements over whether gay and trans people deserve basic human rights. We're talking about people that we've had relationships with who have admitted that they don't believe that poor people should be allowed to eat. This isn't about politics. This is about basic human decency. This is about basic morality. The better question is, why wouldn't you cut somebody out of your life for having different politics than you? Because a lot of you, a large majority of Republicans and conservatives, are pro-life. And you even go so far as to say that abortion is murder. Some of you have compared it to the Holocaust. So if you know somebody who believes that abortion is okay, why would you continue associating with them? If you actually believe that it's murder, why would you keep having someone in your life who, in your eyes, supports murder? I have my theories. I think it's because you guys don't really believe it. You don't actually believe that it's murder. You don't actually believe the things that you say about gay and trans people and about atheists and about Democrats. It's all just a game to you. To you, politics is just a team sport where you say what you got to say to try to dunk on the other side and try to get more power. But at the end of the day, you don't really believe this bullshit that you're saying. That's the difference between us. We actually believe that gay and trans people deserve human rights. We actually believe that women deserve health care. We actually believe that poor people deserve help and they deserve to live. And because you disagree with those things, you are a bad person. And we don't want you in our lives. So whine all you want, you don't deserve to be in our lives. You're not a safe person. You're not safe to be around our children. Instead of throwing a tantrum about it, maybe look inward and realize the ways that you need to change. Because right now, based on your beliefs, we don't want you in our lives.
The lamest thing you can do as a human being, or the top 3 lamest things you can do, is stop being friends with someone because of their political beliefs. I hate people who are like, oh yeah, you're a Republican? I'm not going to be friends with you anymore. Yeah, you're a horrible person. No, dude, don't do that. Don't be like that. Don't be the guy to be like, oh yeah, you're a lib? I don't mess with you no more. Like, dude, you can still be friends with someone and disagree politically. That's fine. That's okay. Why are we acting like we have so many, differences and nothing in common? We have more in common than we think, guys.
The group of people that does not get enough credit in this world is anyone who married into a family that has vastly different political views than what you have. And I don't even care if it's liberal or conservative. I'm just talking, you're in a room full of people and you are clearly not among friends. But at the same time, they're your in-laws, so you have to be among them. The amount of times I bite my tongue, the amount of times I just swallow my pride and I just say, you know what? We're going to be classy. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to fight. That is a special group of people, y'all. And if you are that person, truly congrats, because this shit ain't easy.
Hey, Mom, do you think that the Republican Party and MAGA are the same thing?
Absolutely not. I grew up Republican, voted Republican my entire life, and the leaders that I admired were incredibly respectful of women. They would never weaponize Christianity because they were not hypocristians. They lived their faith. They treated people with different ideologies with respect, not like enemies of the state. They would never raid the Capitol. I don't even recognize that. They handled hard issues, immigration and abortion, but with compassion. And I think because politics wasn't a game show, it wasn't cruelty for claps. What's happening now, that's not the party that I believe in. This is something else entirely.
So would you vote Republican again?
I don't know that the Republican Party exists anymore. This is MAGA. I will not vote MAGA.
Most of these MAGA parents didn't see this coming. This separation came as a shock to them because they could never imagine their decision supporting Donald Trump could cost such a separation between them and their children. To an extent, I feel so sorry for these parents because the mistake they made was vote for Donald Trump. They did so knowing fully well that he was going to make America great again. They knew they were going to live life peacefully. Unfortunately for them, things did not go as planned. What they expected is not actually what they got. And as such, it has caused a lot of disagreement between them and their children, and now causing a separation between them. As this political struggle continues to spread across America, we tend to ask ourselves the question if these relationships will ever be repaired, and also if this is actually the main reason or the root cause of these separations.
So this person in my comments is asking me how I handle the political differences between my dad and me. And this might be a bit of a disappointing answer, but I don't really handle the political differences because there's no relationship between me and my dad. Like, we're no contact, so, we don't speak, we don't see each other regularly. So, there's no relationship there, so there's nothing to handle. I will say, because I was raised in a conservative household, I did think that I was a Republican up until I was, a teenager or young adult. And then, once I started learning more and being exposed to people from different backgrounds, that was when I was like, oh, okay, like the things that I was taught growing up, like aren't all 100% correct. And, when I would try to talk about my new political views with my dad when I was like in college or like just after college, he just didn't really seem to value what I had to say, didn't seem interested in listening to my opinions. And he just had this idea that like all Democrats were evil and, everybody on the left is a communist and whatever. So like you can't have a reasonable conversation with somebody who genuinely believes that. So, our relationship got really strained, and there was also like a lot of personal stuff that was going on, between me and my dad and my family. So there are a lot of factors that went into like why I went no contact with my dad. It wasn't just the politics. But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't think that like if you have family members who like genuinely think that if you are queer, if you are an immigrant or like whatever, that like you don't deserve human rights, why would you want to have a relationship with those people anyway? I think it's just, that's got to be so exhausting to deal with people who, don't see you as human or don't see people who you love as human. And I think that's what, like, I did come to realize at a certain point where, two of my best friends are part of the queer community. I have friends who are immigrants. I know people who have, mixed immigration statuses in their families, and all of those people deserve rights. I don't understand why that's something that's like controversial or something that like not everybody believes. So yeah, like I don't want to be around somebody who thinks that the people that I love and care about should be deported or, forced to undergo like conversion therapy or not allowed to marry the people that they love or not allowed to express their gender the way that they want to. Because like at the end of the day, like, I don't know, who cares? Like who my friends are attracted to, that doesn't concern me. And also like, I don't know, if I have friends who have like mixed immigration statuses in their family, like what's it to me? Like, yeah, I think that everybody should just be treated fairly and have the same human rights. But yeah, my dad doesn't believe that, and I know that there's a lot of Republicans who don't believe that. So like if those are the kind of people that are in your family and they make you feel bad about your choices or who your friends are or who your, partner is or whatever, like I genuinely don't see anything wrong with like cutting those people off because I don't know, I think my life is a lot less stressful now that I don't have to deal with my dad. And like chosen family is also a thing. So long story short, yeah, like you don't have to deal with those family members if you don't want to, and you shouldn't have to.
Growing up in an Asian household means you're pre-built to go through any breakup that ever happened in your lifetime. And what I mean by that, there's a quote that says, how can you go from lovers to strangers? Bruv, in an Asian household, we do that all the time. We just stop talking to our cousins, aunties, or uncles just on a random Tuesday. You know, the amount of families that have just stopped speaking to each other, the day before you were speaking to each other, dancing, doing up dance moves and that, yeah? All of a sudden, some property back home, or some auntie wore this wedding dress, or this uncle didn't invite their nephew to their wedding, or something like that, some tamasha. All of a sudden, the families aren't talking. How many of you guys who are Asian don't talk to some family members? Certain families you just don't speak to anymore, just because of politics. You go through a breakup and a girl will be like, oh, but how can you go from talking every day to never talking again? I was like, brother, I done that with my cousin, you know? Shout out Abdul. Like, I used to like that guy. I don't even see him in Chaiwala anymore. If I see him, sometimes he don't speak to me because he knows that his uncle and auntie aren't speaking to my mum and dad. Do you know what I mean? So it happens. Have some flipping shovrum.
So now I've actually upgraded from losing my family on Christmas to now losing some of my friends because they have gone so far off the deep left end that now they're convinced that anyone who voted for Trump is like a fascist, everything else they call us, and they don't even want me around, like, in the friend group. I just want to preface this by saying we don't talk politics in my friend groups. We don't do anything like that. We barely discuss, like, our opposing ideals at all. Yet they cut me off literally just because of a vote. Something I did that took 5 minutes to do. Something, apparently, that's now ruined my whole life. I've lost my family and I've lost my friends. They've split up people and divide us, and I'm tired of it.
Does anyone else feel like they're screaming into a void? Like a huge void and absolutely no one can hear you? That's how I feel right now with some family members. And by the way, in case you are also either have gone no contact or are having contention with family members, you are not alone. I have not spoken with my parents since the election. That has never happened before. We've had contentious arguments about Trump and conservatism, but we've never not talked, and I have no desire to talk to them, especially my dad. That's going to be a tougher one to heal. Let me tell you what happened the day after the election. My mom was texting me about something, and I responded. And she was on a European vacation on a Viking cruise during the election. She texted me Wednesday morning and I responded with a very honest, raw response about why I was devastated, horrified, felt dizzy, and couldn't make heads or tails of anything. And I explained why I'm disgusted that Donald Trump won again. And I ended it by saying, I believe the Jesus that I was taught about as a kid is weeping for this country and is horrified by the fact that more than half the country voted for Donald Trump. That's how my text ended. My mother, whom I am very close to, by the way, I love her dearly. She calls me her best girl. I call her my best girl. I talk to her every single day of my known life, and I see her at least once a week. She responded to my raw text by talking about how Kamala Harris's estate tax would negatively affect my grandpa's estate and all the inheritances would lessen. Like screaming into the void. Talk about missing the point, right? Talk about tone deaf. You think I want to discuss any more of this election with my parents if that's how they're going to respond? Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to scream. It's not y'all's fault. Anyway, if you're having issues with your family right now, I'm really sorry and I feel you. I hope we all get through it and that we resolve everything, and especially around the holidays. But I know that I have to protect my peace as much as I can and take care of myself. So until I'm not screaming into a void anymore, with my family, I'm just not going to talk with them. Sad, but true. Okay, bye friends. Why did I just say that like we're hanging up the phone? See, I've lost my mind.
The anger some of these children have towards their parents right now is because of the life they are living right now, like the difficulties they are facing right now. They tend to blame their parents for making such a bad decision. Because if you, let's say for example, let's take an example of you know, an average family. Let's say you were struggling to survive, managing life on your own, and all of a sudden livelihood becomes more expensive. You always tend to blame those who voted for that policy. You tend to blame each and everyone that voted for that president at that time, because if not, you wouldn't have been going through or facing the difficulties you're facing right now. Also take a look at, let's say, this Medicare cut. All right, let's say for a parent who has a disabled child who knows or who can barely afford expenses for hospital bills, and you know you have been supported by this organization, and all of a sudden you realize that the support you used to get from this organization is no longer the same. Believe me, you too will be angry, because you tend to stress a lot, like where will you get the funds for child's medication, where will you get the funds for groceries, where will you get the funds for house rent and everything. When you think about all these things and how life has become so difficult, you will tend to put the blame on others. But now the question we should ask ourselves is, can these families overcome their political differences? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Please do not forget to like, subscribe to our channel.